So Brimstone Sands has finally dropped here in New World just a few hours ago at the time of recording this video, and whether you are someone who is waiting in the queue or you are just waiting to get on board with the servers, maybe you're doing some other stuff or maybe even watching this video whilst you're playing, hopefully these quick tips and tricks can give you guys some little things to look out for and some tips on how you can really make some progress during this launch period. So first things first, you are of course going to want to do the main story quest up until the point where you are given the Heartgem side quest. Now this is really important because obviously, like the name suggests, it unlocks for you the Heartgems, which is really crucial and is one of the brand new features of the game, which if you haven't already heard about, essentially gives you a fourth active ability. Now whilst these at the very first level are not exactly overpowered, even at the second level they're not amazing, but they start to get better. By the time you get these to the legendary quality, they're actually super good, and in a lot of cases are going to change the tide of battle, whether that's in PvE or PvP. So the sooner that you unlock these, work out which one is your favourite and start to level this up through the crafting versions and through the crafting system that it has, the better this is going to be. So certainly crack on with the main story quest until that point. This will also allow you to unlock things like Brimstone Sands town itself, although you can just run there. This will kind of lead you there through the quest progression and give you some insight into some of the cool POIs that Brimstone Sands brings with it. Now another thing that you can do is get doing the expeditions, and this can be any endgame expedition or mutation variant, whatever you want to or need to do. And the main reason for this is going to be getting your hands on some timeless shards, and in particular, of course, the Greatsword timeless shards. Now these are invaluable at the moment. They're very expensive on all servers because it's brand new, and it's going to stay that way for probably a week or two. Equally, if you're somebody like myself who has 200 weaponsmithing and you are trying to craft some of these, it's probably going to be slightly easier to get your hands on an expedition run and hope to get some dropped, rather than to spend upwards of 10,000 gold on just one single shard, which may or may not be good, which is what I've seen them going for, at least on my server. So I would definitely recommend doing that, especially if you want to progress with your Greatsword. Maybe you're wanting to get some weapon XP, or maybe you're just wanting to have fun with it and see how it works. Certainly get your hands on some expedition runs and try and hope for those good drops. Now the Halloween event, or the Nighveil Hallow event that is currently ongoing in New World, is super cool, and it brings with it some really nice rewards. Now for those of you that haven't seen the rewards, without spoiling it too much, you are going to be able to get some very cool looking weaponry, of course with a Halloween or Nighveil Hallow type theme to it. And these weapons are going to be really decent, as they are patterns for 590 and they do come with Keen. So it's really nice to be able to get hands on if you are looking for a particular build, such as a dexterity based greatsword with Keen on. This is something that you can get from the event and is going to be super useful for any players that are going to use the greatsword within a dexterity build. Now equally, the Nighveil Hallow or the Halloween event also brings with it some super cool Halloween themed cosmetics for both the player armor and outfits, and of course the housing items too. So it's certainly something that you want to get involved with, not to mention the fact that the boss fight is just super cool and really something that I think stands out in New World. Maybe it's going to be a little hint towards the raids that we know are coming, not in the near future but somewhere in the future of New World. So definitely check this out if you haven't done. The rewards are great and the fight itself is also really fun. Now as you are going around the Brimstone Sands area, whether you're doing main story quests or you are just simply exploring, I would highly recommend making sure that you pick up each of the brand new fast travel points as soon as you go near them. This is going to mean that whenever you need to come back across Brimstone Sands, it's going to be far easier to traverse. So do make sure that you're picking those up as you're going along. It's something I forgot to do on the PTR and regretted it afterwards. So you definitely want to make sure, if you're even within 100, 200 or even 500 meters of some of these shrines, definitely pick them up. It's going to be super useful. Now, the side quests or the side missions in Brimstone Sands are also going to be really important to make sure that you're completing as you are progressing through the zone. Now, I would recommend certainly picking these up as you're going along, because the majority of them are either in the same direction as the main story quest or literally in the same area as the main story quest for a lot of the cases. And these side story missions obviously give you a bit of backstory and a bit of lore to some of the characters and areas in Brimstone Sands, which is nice as a kind of immersive feeling, but they also offer some really decent rewards. For example, you can get things like rune glasses, gypsum orbs, umbral shards, and of course some materials like feathers, which at first glance you might think, well, why would you want feathers? But these are actually used to craft into the Heartgems, so it's actually quite useful to keep hold of all of these rewards, and the more you can stack up, the better. Like I said, things like the rune glasses, the new rune glass gems, or you actually get a casing from one of the really early on side quests, and this is super useful because then it allows you to craft this and get ahead of the game if you do want to go ahead and use that particular one. It also gives you kind of that introduction to then going and having a look about the rune glasses, and opens up that option of the game as well, which is something you certainly want to be checking out if you haven't already done so. Now, remember, with the Greatsword, it is going to be at Mastery level 1 when you first pick this bad boy up, so the earlier on that you can get hands-on with this weapon, it's probably the better, so you can start leveling it up as you are questing and as you are going around the zones, maybe the new Ennead expedition. Whatever the case may be, you are going to want to get a few levels on this so that you can get your active abilities, obviously both your stances involved with that, and then of course there's a lot of really cool passives too. There is a guide up on the channel if you want to go and watch that, which kind of details all of the different abilities and passives the Greatsword has. But essentially it's a really cool weapon, and I think it's going to be super crucial to get yourself leveled up in weapon mastery ahead of the competition if you are looking to use this in PvP, but it's also going to be invaluable in PvE situations, so all players, if you wanted to use it, get this leveled up ASAP. And finally, if you are running around the area of Brimstone Sands, definitely pick up some of the brand new materials, whether it's going to be the sandstone or the brimstone itself, which of course gives you the sulfur. You probably have seen this in some of the quest areas, and you've probably seen hands-on. There's things like cactus, which gives you cactus flesh and water, and all kinds of different things in here. You definitely want to go and pick them up. There is also a lot of the older resources, so things like herbs, silkweed, all of that good stuff, lots of that in the area. Wire fiber seems to be quite a nice bit near the settlement. Now, of course, you want to pick those up as well, but the new materials are going to either be in high demand if you wanted to sell those, or of course you can use them in crafting and such for yourself if you wanted to get some of the new items. Now, along with gathering the new materials, I would also say taking a trip to some of the elite zones, whether that's the new ones in Brimstone Sands or previous versions of them in some of the well-known areas of Aeternum, is going to be really important because, again, for a lot of these upgrades for the Heartgems, you are going to need something called wooden coins. Now, they have been added into the game with this patch, and they are dropped from expedition supply chests, so you can get them inside the expeditions, which, of course, is another reason for doing them, other than the timeless shards. But the best way, other than the expeditions themselves, to get these wooden coins is going to be through the elite areas and the elite POIs, and going for those elite chests within them. Obviously, those chests are on a cooldown, so the sooner you get onto those and keep on top of your cooldowns, hopefully the more coins you can get, and then in turn either sell those or use them for crafting, because again, for the first few weeks, they're going to be in very high demand, so that's obviously going to be something that serves you pretty well. Now, hopefully you are all enjoying the new update as much as myself. I've had a lot of fun with it so far. Touch wood, so far on my server, the queues haven't been horrendous, but I know some places they have, so hopefully if you are sat in a queue, you do get into the game sooner, you can get back on the grind and get back to enjoying the game. It's a lot of fun, really enjoying the new area and unlocking some new stuff, and I hope you guys are as well. If you've got any other tips you think I missed, do drop them down below in the comments, and other than that, do make sure that you're liking and subscribing on today's video. Both those things massively help to support my channel, so I'd really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys again very shortly on a brand new upload. Take care, and peace.